welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jazmin. I make lifestyle and beauty videos. If you're returning, welcome as well. Thank you so much for your love and support. I truly do appreciate it. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a recap of my first trimester, talking all about my symptoms, my doctor visits. So if you're interested, go ahead and just keep on watching. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start from the beginning. So when I first found out I was pregnant, all my symptoms, and then we'll go week by week for my first trimester. So if you guys haven't watched my previous video, I talked all about how I found out I was pregnant, how I told my husband, how I told my family. So definitely go ahead and check that one out first. But if you've already seen it, then you know that I didn't know I was pregnant at first. I had taken 3 pregnancy tests, all came back negative, and it wasn't until the 4th one that came back positive. So I didn't really know how far along I was, and it did take some time to finally see like an OB about, you know, the pregnancy and stuff. So when I did go in, they told me that I was 10 weeks pregnant, and what they did first is that they checked the baby, but they tried to use ultrasound and stuff, but the baby was so small that they couldn't really find it, so they had to insert, I forgot the actual name, but I'll put it here once I figure it out. But they had to insert it underneath to see the baby. And then this was the first ultrasound. So there's the baby. As you can see, the baby is super small, but you can definitely already see like the head and the small body there. So they thought that I was 10 weeks pregnant at the time because they were basing it off my last menstrual period. So they took this one and they told me to come back like 2 weeks after to recheck the baby. But for my symptoms, for week 6, which is when I found out I was pregnant, I had absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. Week 7, the only symptom that I really had was just a lot of bloating, but I wasn't really like thinking I was pregnant just because I always get bloated when it comes to having like my period. So I did experience that, just bloating, nothing too extreme. Week 8, when I went to go see the doctor, even though I thought it was week 10, I was actually week 8, but I went in when I was 10, but I was really 8. The only thing I was having was just bloating. No nausea, no vomiting, nothing like that. I honestly felt like normal, like my normal self. And week 9, I experienced still bloating, but this time I experienced some tender breasts. So my breasts were really sensitive. Like if I were to hit them or if I was laying down on my side, they would really hurt. Or even just like moving my bra, like lifting it up or like, you know, adjusting it, that hurts really badly. They were just super sensitive, and usually I don't have like sensitive breasts when it comes to like my menstrual period, so I never experienced it. But week 9 was definitely really hurting me, so I had to get adjusted to it. And then for week 10 is when I went to the doctor's appointment. So they were basing the baby off my last menstrual period. So at this time they thought I was 12 weeks pregnant, but when I did the ultrasound again, the baby was still too small to be found, so they had to insert that little thing again, and they realized that the baby was measuring at 8 weeks instead of 10 weeks. So they disregarded my due date and they gave me a new due date. So that's why I say like they were just measuring like 2 weeks behind. So at this time I was already week 10, even though the paper says week 12. And I'll show you guys what the baby looked like. So this was the baby at week 10. So I know it says week 12 on there, but it was week 10. And there was definitely a huge difference in those like 2 weeks. Like the baby just got a lot bigger compared to like week 8. So this one was week 10, this one's week 8. So you can see the big difference there. So for my symptoms for week 10, so I have everything written down because I definitely wanted to keep everything like according to how it was happening. For week 10, I was feeling super tired. Like I am not the person to take naps in the middle of the day. Like I was just never that person to be able to fall asleep in the middle of the day. But for week 10, I was feeling so tired by the time it was like 4 or 5 o'clock that like it was like a different type of exhaustion. Like nothing that I had ever experienced before. Like I could not keep my eyes open, and then I would also get like a small little headache, which didn't really help either. but I would honestly fall asleep in the couch. I would fall asleep in my bed, being on my phone or whatever, and I would just knock out. Like, I was just so tired that I could not stay awake, and my naps would be like 2 to 3 hours long. Like, it wasn't even like a 30-minute nap. No, it was like a full-on 2 to 3 hours, and then I would wake up and it was already like 8-9 o'clock already, which would suck. But I was just so exhausted that I could not stay up. Another one that I experienced for week 10 is a lot of nausea. I was nauseous all day. Like, I know they call it morning sickness, but it is definitely not just a morning. It was like an all day type of thing. In the morning, I had to be very careful about what I ate, because for week 10 I remember I ate like Honey Nut Cheerios and I threw that up within the next hour. The next day I tried Frosted Flakes, threw that up within an hour. Another time I did pancakes, threw that up within an hour. Like, I was just not able to eat my usual breakfast that I usually love. I was not able to eat that. The only thing until this day, the only thing that I can eat is a bagel and 2 to 3 eggs in the morning, and sometimes I'll add some potatoes and a fruit next to it. But that's basically the only thing I've had for breakfast since like week 10, and it's because everything else, like, I just throw it up. Like, I have no idea why, but this baby is just not liking a lot of things, and that's the only thing that I can eat. So I did experience a lot of nausea, a lot of vomiting. And then for another symptom, I still had my bloating. Like, that was like still going on, but it wasn't too bad. And then something I noticed, that my veins were a lot more visible now. Like, I was, when I would, you know, take a shower, I would like look at myself and I realized that like my breast had a lot of veins. Like, you can actually see the veins, and I usually don't see like my veins on my breast and stuff. So I was really just like amazed by that. And for week 11 I started to experience a lot of food aversion. So a lot of the things that I usually love to eat for like lunch or for dinner, I realized that I was not liking it anymore. For example, I was a big person who made like a lot of chicken, especially chicken breasts. I would make like chicken salad, or I would make like chicken breast with some veggies and potatoes, but all of my meals consisted with chicken in them. And for this week 11, like, my body was just not having it. I couldn't stand cooking it. Like, the smell of it just made me want to throw up. When it came to eating it, I was just not enjoying it. It just did not taste like how I would do it before, and it just tasted disgusting to me. So later on I would end up throwing it up. I really tried to keep it into my system. Like, I would try to not think about it. I would try to, you know, distract myself from how I was feeling, but it was just impossible. Like, I would end up throwing it up, and it just got really bad to the point where my husband had to cook the chicken, and I had to do it like in small little pieces for me to be able to eat it, because it was just not enjoyable for me. But I experienced that. Another thing that I experienced was around ligament pain. So I started getting a lot of pain like on my sides, and as a first-time mom, I was like freaking out. I was freaking out over every little thing because I was so scared that something was going on, something bad was happening with my baby. So I called my like nurse, and she said that it's completely normal. I explained to her like where the pain was, and she said it's completely normal. It's just that, you know, baby's getting a lot more bigger and it's making room, and a lot of my, you know, insides are like stretching out and everything. So that's that pain that's coming from. But it is a really pain. It's not like too painful, but it is painful at the same time. Like, depending on how you're sitting or how you're laying, it can hurt more. But I did experience that week. I was still throwing up. I was still nauseous. My vomiting still hasn't stopped, and I'm in week 17 now. It still hasn't stopped. I'm still feeling nauseous. I'm still vomiting. So that's continuing. I'm hoping that by week 20 maybe I start feeling a little bit better, but that's just gonna keep on going. Another symptom was using the restroom a lot. Like, I had to go to the restroom like every hour. If I drank a water, I had to go use the restroom. If I drank any type of liquid, I had to go use the restroom. Like, it was crazy, and I'm still having that today. Like, week 17, I'm still using the restroom very constantly, especially when it came to us like going grocery shopping. I knew that I could not drink any type of water beforehand because I would have to go pee like right away, or have to use the restroom right away. So that I experienced a lot. For week 20, I was still nauseous, still vomiting. that honestly did not stop. What did begin was me throwing up in the morning. Like as soon as I got up, I had to go throw up. Like I had nothing in my system, but I would throw up like this yellow color, which is called bile. That's really disgusting because it has like this very sour, like bitter taste. Hate throwing up that in the morning, but I did do that. I would eat breakfast, my bagel and my 2 eggs, and I would be fine. But then dinner came, I would throw up again. So I experienced that a lot, and I'm the person who usually never throws up really. So this part was really hard for me. Another thing that I experienced was headaches. So I got like occasional headaches here and there. And it was always like on one side. It was always on my left side that would hurt. Like I would just put my fingers here and like I would just feel it. Like I felt my head like hurting. And then week 13, I still experiencing nausea, still experiencing vomiting. I know I tried a lot of things for my vomiting. Like I tried the crackers. I literally stocked up on crackers. My husband brought me like 4 or 5 boxes every single time, and I would munch on them and everything. They help for a little bit, but I started to get sick just from eating that. I tried water. I started getting sick just by drinking water. I tried ginger ale. They told me ginger ale helps. It did help for like maybe 2-3 days, and then I threw up ginger ale and it just did not help anymore. So at this point my vomiting was just like ridiculous. I hated it so much, but nothing was working. The crackers, ginger ale, nothing of that. So if you guys have any suggestions for nausea and vomiting, please comment them down below because I'm in need of something. I did experience heartburn, so it would always happen every time I ate something, like something not heavy but like a lot of carbs or something. I knew I was gonna get a heartburn, and it was never like up here. It was always like mid like section, and I told my doctor about that, and she said that it was completely normal. It was just heartburn, that I'm gonna be experiencing that. And she told me just that after I eat to not like lay down or slouch because that was gonna cause it. So what I've been doing is that I'll finish eating and I'll just like kind of stand a little bit, or if I'll sit down, I'll sit up like very straight, like good posture and everything. That's been helping. So, and then another thing is I started experiencing peasing. So if you guys don't know what peasing is, it's when you sneeze and a little bit of pee comes out. So I did experience that, and I think it's the most annoying thing ever, because the first time that it happened I was just like, oh my god, like did I really just like pee myself? Like, are you serious? And yep, there was like, and it's not like a whole bunch, but you pee a little bit, and I would always have to, you know, obviously clean and then change and everything. So I realized that it always happened though, mostly when I was standing up. If I was sitting down, then I was fine. If I was standing up, there was like a good chance of me doing that. And then for week 14, it was basically the same thing, nausea and vomiting. Like I told you, it didn't stop. It was still using the restroom a lot. Like every 30 minutes to an hour, I would have to use the restroom and go, you know, pee whatever I just drank. And then another one that I experienced on week 14 was still feeling pretty tired, but it wasn't as bad as like how I was experiencing in the beginning. I was just like didn't really have the energy to do anything. So that was another thing, but that's pretty much all my symptoms. One thing I forgot to mention is that I did go see the doctor at my 11-week appointment, which the baby is looking like this. So this was week 11, and then this was week 10. So you can just see the big difference. It's just like a huge difference. This was 11 weeks 6 days, so it's almost 12 weeks, and then this one's 10 weeks, so that's almost a 2-week difference, which is so crazy to me because I'm just like, oh my god, like the baby, like it's formed, like you can actually see that it's a baby and everything. So I did go see a doctor for this one. So yeah, that concludes the end of this video. I hope you guys really did enjoy it. So if you like this video, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe down below and hit that post notification button to be notified every time I post a new video. Bye guys.